Hello, this is the Adulting with ADHD Podcast with Sarah. I'm so glad you're here. Right off the bat, this is actually my very first podcast episode ever. I think before I delve into all the things I want to unpack, I think I should start the first episode by just kind of sharing my story. I was diagnosed really late in life, in my mid-30s. I got by on my wits, I guess. I remember in kindergarten getting some low grades on cutting and pasting, but at the same time, I really excelled in reading. And that all makes sense now, looking back, because I was really good at the stuff I was interested in and the stuff I couldn't be bothered with. I wasn't patient enough to finish those things. And so, of course, hindsight's 2020. This followed me through middle and high school. I was smart. I was in the advanced classes, but I wasn't like this super uber overachiever. There was always room for improvement, and I wasn't failing, so therefore there were never any flags. We now know that ADHD in girls, it could present differently. I'm an attentive type. Those daydreamers, that kind of stuff. So I fell through the cracks. Made it to college, got into a good school, immediately almost got put on scholastic probation. Because guess what? I never developed those studying skills that are so important. I did, however, develop a passion for journalism. So I was working and I was, covering these really hot stories, chasing ambulances, going to the Capitol. I had a very exciting college career. It may have served me well, but not when you're trying to make good grades. I pulled myself out of scholastic probation, but I was still more than a decade from being diagnosed. But I did learn that, hey, I can't chase ambulances all day. I actually need to pass these classes or I'm getting kicked out. Fast forward to my career. Had a good career in journalism. I ended up leaving it just because newspapers were dying or whatever. Once again, just like school, I wasn't the superstar, but I wasn't failing either. I was just kind of there, getting by on my wits. And then the economy went bad, so I had to go get a real job. And this real job, it was a really awesome job, but the people there performed at a very high level. And this, my friends, is how I found out I had ADHD. Because I was performing at such a level that failure was not an option. Honestly, I had a conversation with my boss after enough mistakes. And it was basically, the conversation amounted to, you can't make any more mistakes. None. Or you're out. So, that scared the crap out of me. And at the time, I had already been seeing a psychiatrist. I also, I have depression. I have anxiety disorder. I will later learn these were all tied into the ADHD as well. So I had already been seeking treatment for that, and she had already diagnosed me with ADHD when I got this really bad news that, hey, you're screwing up way too badly. It was good timing. I broke down and ended up telling my boss and my supervisor. I ended up just telling them what was going on, that I had it, and that my medicine was literally in the mail. And it's not something I wanted to talk about because at the time it felt like an excuse, but now I know better. And I got a lot of great recommendations from my psychiatrist and included a lot of tips on changing my work environment, limiting distractions, plugging into white noise, went on medication. And I've been on the medication and I've been off medication when I was pregnant. So by no means is medication the only way to manage it, but I am totally all about the medication in my case. So that's a kind of ADHD I am. I feel like everybody's story is different. And when I blog and when I run my online community, the way I go into it is I'm very inclusive of all types of ADHD. And I know we're not all the same. And I know that we all approach our thing differently. And so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.